Welcome back, everybody, to the ALG podcast. And of course, as always, happy Friday. By the time you're listening to this, it is Friday afternoon, so it's that Friday feeling. Today, I'm joined by a very special guest all the way out from California, my homie, my home dog, the man that has lost over 200 pounds, the homie Sugar-Free Rich. Sugar-Free, how the fuck you doing?
Dude, come on, man. I'm living the dream out here, bro.
Living the dream.
In Cali dreaming. Yeah, well, we got the wildfires going on. It's a little tough to breathe out there, but otherwise, like I said, I got no complaints, man. Life is good.
Okay. What part of Cali are you in?
I'm in LA, man. I'm right in Hollywood. Literally, I could look out, Walk of Fame. You know what I mean? I'm literally right here. So,
nice.
Yeah,
awesome. That is
for
awesome.
A year and a half in Hollywood, and I, like I said, I bounced around. I live in a bunch of different places, but I'm here 8 years in LA.
Nice. So my claim to I've only been to LA once.
All right.
And it was over 4th of July weekend. I had two claim to fame moments there. Number one, so I had a buddy of mine who was pretty high up in the male modeling of LA. And so he's friends with a bunch of LA Galaxy players, all this kind of stuff. And we ended up going, originally, he got himself on the docket to go to the Kardashians' 4th of July party. And I was there and they wouldn't let us in. They wouldn't let me in.
What do you mean? You got to the gate and it was like really that whole like
there's like no
scene where they're like sorry.
But then I feel cool because I ended up going to Nigel Houston's bachelor or birthday party, so that was kind of cool.
I got a funny story about that guy, but I don't even know.
Nigel?
Yeah, Nigel. It's hilarious. Well, long story short, he came to the Apple store one day and I had no idea who this guy was, right? And I'm the manager right at the time.
Okay.
And, one of the employees like, yo, you gotta come. Like, there's this guy. He's kind of like, you know, he doesn't want to wait for a Genius Bar appointment. You know how there's always a wait for a Genius Bar appointment?
Yeah.
So, right? It's always a long wait. And I'm like, I walk up to the guy, and he's just like the rudest, like, he's so unkind. I'm trying to, like, find a way, and I was just like, I'm sorry, sir, you're going to have to leave. And I didn't know like, we're going to have to go, right? I just ready. And he's like, what do you mean? He's like, I'm so sorry, man. You gotta take a walk, dude.
That's amazing.
Like, I'm out, you know? And all the employees were like, dude, do you have any idea who that guy is? And I was like, dude, I don't have any. I don't care. I'm trying to protect your experience. I don't care about anybody else's experience right now. It's all about yours. And like, that's not you, Houston. I'm like, still have no idea who that is. You know what I mean? I actually know who he is now, which is hilarious because you know, I like look a little bit more into skating, all that stuff. Because some of the skaters work out at Dog Pound, and it's funny because I like met a few and like. No, he's actually like a good guy. Just in that moment, it was tough because he just didn't want to wait. But like I said,
broken cell phone against the best of us.
That's what I'm saying. I'm compromised, but that's hilarious that you had to run into that guy too. But
that's funny.
No. But LA,
that is funny. That is really funny.
The door in Los Angeles, you get denied at the door, like in Wayne's World, and
yes,
trying to get. It's like the best scene ever, you know. And they're like, a lot of people's girlfriends are in there. You know?
A lot of girlfriends are in there.
All right. So before we start off, let me finish our introductions. I, of course, am JR's Journey, otherwise known as John Arpino. And, of course, I'm joined by my very special, my guest host, my partner in crime, David Roden, otherwise known as Fit_D-Rock. Yeah, and then we can actually start the show because, you know, that was a real intro.
You know what hurts my soul, though? I'm wearing a black shirt, so I can't do my pec dance. Like, you can't tell I'm doing the pecs. I can't.
Oh, you pecking?
I'm totally pecking right now. You can't see it. This is weird. I'm not wearing a cutoff for the first time in 17 episodes, and it feels weird.
You fucking pecker.
How come I got the black shirt? What was going on? Where were you earlier today?
Wait, am I just taking off my shirt? We just gonna do it? Am I just taking the shirt off and we're doing a pec dance right now?
Absolutely not.
Yeah,
Absolutely not.
I
love it.
Absolutely not. All right. So, Rich, I have been trying my damnedest to get you on this podcast for a minute, and every time we schedule it, one of us has to end up canceling. So I'm so happy that we're finally sitting down face to face for honestly the first time, you know, besides an Instagram screen.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Yeah, where it's a little back and forth, and I had bounced home for a little while. I was trying to see if we could work a workout, but
right.
Like I said, you go home and you're there, and it's like you're on a world tour. You got to just make sure you go see everybody, big family, you know what I mean? Everybody has
exactly.
Lose all this weight. Everybody's got to see it. So I apologize. We couldn't link that.
No, of course.
Like I said, no, I'm thrilled, man. And I obviously like a huge fan. I don't know a ton of it's David, right?
David.
It's David, yes.
Yeah, David.
Sorry, now, like somehow he spoke and then it showed his name. But long story, yeah, no, I'm sorry. Like it's a full intro, but yeah, I don't know a ton about your story, but obviously just a huge fan. And if you guys are working together, I'm sure it's just as epic.
I appreciate that. No one should ever be a fan of me. I'm just an everyday jerk off, but I really do appreciate that. I do. Thank you so much. You know, I've been following your journey. So it's really funny, actually, for those that don't know who Rich is. So me and Rich have a mutual friend. We have two mutual friends. And I stumbled across Rich because of my wrestling trainer, Bull James. And Rich's really good friend is former WWE guy, Enzo Amore. So, Bull and Enzo, they're friends. They came up together, and one day Bull looks at me, and goes, "Yo, do you know who this guy is?" And
Yeah.
it was Rich. And I was like, "Yeah, dude, I absolutely know who that is." I was like, "Yo, I've been following him for a minute. He was in Enzo's video a couple of years back, whatever the case was." And he was like, "Yeah, dude, you guys need to link and talk and whatever. I think that you guys can really inspire one another." And make a long story short, we started following each other, and we've yet to cross paths in real life. But we're here now, so we're going to totally talk about the man of the hour, Rich. So, Rich, why don't you take me back? Originally, you're not from California. You're from Jersey, right?
I'm a Jersey guy, bro. Yeah, born and raised out there, and like I say, I lived out there up until when I moved to Cali. I was in November 2012, so I spent my whole life out there. And I grew up. My family had a restaurant right in Hillsdale, New Jersey. So my aunt and uncle owned it, and my mother worked there since she was a kid. And it was a fried chicken and pizza joint. You know what I mean?
Nice.
Chicken Delight is the name. Don't cook tonight, call Chicken Delight, right?
Hey.
They had a few of them. You know what I mean? But like I said, I kind of was always in the restaurant environment, like as a kid. You know what I mean? As
Right.
8 years old, 7 years old, you're still running around. And then when I was 11, actually, they told me one day I wasn't going to football practice, that I was going to work at the restaurant. So I went in. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. They paid me $5 an hour, and I started working. And I was kind of always a big kid, so being surrounded by food all day wasn't a bad thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
At the end of
Yeah.
the day, taught me to cook, taught me to do all that stuff. And like I said, yeah, I grew up doing that. That's what I always thought I was gonna do.
Right. And you were always a heavy set kid, right?
Oh yeah, bro. I mean, it was one of those things where I was pushing 300. If I didn't think it was, I was definitely pushing 300 in 6th grade. And
Yeah.
you never forget those moments, where you have to do like the weigh-ins.
Of course.
Okay, school, you get the weigh-in, you go up there, and my last name starts with the A, and there's only so basically Enzo, his last name starts with an A too, so he's like right after me, but the kid in front of me like barely even touching over 100, you know what I mean? But 150, they moved the big dial, they got a dial a couple ways, and then it was even to a point after a while where like you get to a certain age and they can't move the dial any further, he's just like, all right, don't worry about it, you know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
don't overthink it. But the whole class is like sitting watching the scale as they're moving the thing along, and you're like embarrassed and shit. But then you kind of learn to accept it. You kind of just keep the smile on, try to make people
Of
people
course.
laugh. And, always have
So wait, let me get this straight. You and Enzo literally went to elementary school together?
Oh yeah, dude. I know. He was a wild one. Like I said, he was.
That's what I want to know. What is Sugar Free Rich before the Sugar Free and Enzo Amore in elementary school?
Well, this is my homie. Yeah, this is my brother since we were I met him when we were probably like 9.
Wow.
9 years old. So I know him for over 20 years, and we became really really good brothers in high school. And obviously I kind of got picked on a little bit by him for a little while when we were in school. When I was playing football, they just loved. He was a big guy, but it was so easy to get me down.
Of course.
Running laps, you could just come over and just tap me and I'll just fall over, I love playing, you know what I'm saying? That was the thing. If I was running, it's one thing, but if you're just playing O-line, you're all right. But yeah, that's my brother for years, man, and we've stayed close throughout, all like whatever journey it was, whether I came out to California or, when he made his way down to Tampa and Orlando in order to start his career in the WWE, that's a brother,
Yeah, no, that's really awesome. That's really awesome. So you were an active kid. It sounds like you were playing football and whatnot.
I played it when I was young. They give you a nickname. Mine was Detour because it was tough to get around. It was Detour. They gave you that name.
Okay.
They would pronounce your last name when you messed up on it. You know what I mean? Like just a idea the coach's perspective. But I did play football, but like I said, it was only up until, like I said, probably 7th grade, I think.
Okay.
7th grade. Then I just started working. And like I said, you're surrounded by your family. It's like a busy environment. They're putting money in your pocket. You're like, why wouldn't I just do this? And like I said, that was it for me. I thought that's what I was going to do.
So working in the food industry at such a young age and, battling probably what was early signs of a food addiction probably wasn't that, great.
No.
Yeah.
It's called what it is, and I think, you forget the scenario because, as you're like working through the day, it's so funny because you like, are constantly just tasting things and picking at stuff, right? And then
Right.
people realize, like, at the end of the day, what you've consumed, and then by the end of it, it's a scenario where, like, you're like, oh, can I stop at 7-Eleven? Then you get all the candy and you get all the, because that's what I love, you get
Right.
Lunchables, you go to bed and, you eat these Lunchables, you go, whatever the hell it is. Like,
Yeah.
you just love food. And I've always loved food. If you ever, thought of me, it was always like, where are we going to go to eat? You know what I mean?
I feel you.
That guy,
100%.
And, I lived with that persona. And, I lived it after I had left my family's restaurant. I moved to the city and I was working for Apple at the time. So I worked at the Apple store on Fifth Avenue. And like I said, it was a great scenario to kind of break away from food for a little bit, but I would never break away from those habits.
Right.
There was just something that I carried with me forever is, kind of like the overeating and, finding a scenario where, every emotion is attached to food.
So what was like forget working in the restaurant days, but like post restaurant days, working in the Apple store, what was like a normal day of eating for you?
And how old were you? Just general idea. Like we're talking like 19.
So when I started, I was at Apple. I was 22. So I worked at my family restaurant for about 10, 11 years, and then I decided to leave, which is tough. And then I went to Apple when I was 22, roughly. Yeah. So I kind of lived in a scenario for me where it was, you always found a moment to eat. And for me, like I would find moments where even if you knew, like, let's say for instance, you were going to meet somebody for breakfast, or you're meeting somebody for lunch, or whatever it is, you would always have a moment when you were alone where you would just binge eat like a nut.
Of course. Yeah.
And so I would find myself in a scenario where, like, you'd be on your way to the restaurant, or you'd be on your way to go to lunch, you'd pull into a drive-through, or you'd, load up on, snacks. I'm big, like, gummy bears and candy and all that stuff, you know what I'm saying? So I would hammer that stuff, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, so you had a sweet tooth. You OD had a sweet tooth.
Not for like cake or anything like that, but it was candy.
Right.
Like, then it got, obviously, not to say.
And what was the reasoning? Do you have any idea what was it? I mean, obviously you can look back and kind of make any scenario you want out of it. Was it like a shame, kind of like, I need to eat half of what I want to, so I don't have to eat as much when I'm there? Or what was like the reasoning behind it? Or do you not know?
You know what? Because I'll be honest with you, I was blessed enough to have Apple gave me resources to go to actual like therapy sessions, right? So I like sat down with a therapist over this last year, like through my journey, and talk some of that stuff out. And I think the interesting part was, I kind of, like I said, I coped with emotions, and I'm a Pisces, so I like just carry so much emotion with me. And, I've always been attached to people, right? If you're in a restaurant, you're constantly surrounded by people. And for me, it was one of those things where I love to connect with somebody. So I'll always like take on all the emotions of every single person that I meet. When I was in a small town doing it was one thing, but then you go into New York City and all of a sudden these stories get real, right?
Right.
LA stories get real, and you're like bringing them home. And as you like continue to kind of elevate your position within the company, and, you start to take on stories that are not just a customer you're only going to see once, but, the emotions of the employees that are there that are struggling just to make ends meet. Like, there's all these things that, for me, I had to work through. So by the time the day had ended, I needed to refuel my bucket. And for me, the way that I refueled my bucket was to sit there and just like slam family-sized bags of Swedish fish, or slam like, the 5-pound bag of gummy bears that Amazon.
See, that's so fascinating. I could, even 400-pound David, I couldn't handle chewy stuff like this.
No.
Oh no, I mean, that was like, for me, it was insane, because you would, I even work in Apple, like I said, because there was a point where like I'd gotten to, a stage in my life where my addiction to eating was so rough, and I like always want to do it alone. Obviously, it's not like I'm gonna.
Of course.
I didn't have anybody, to do it. But even my roommate.
Unless your name's Gormy, then he loves to do it in front of everybody.
Yeah. He loved. Yeah.
He was a savage.
Yeah, no doubt about that. But I would actually like I actually ended up taking on like a different, because they're a 24-hour store, the one that's on Fifth Avenue. So they had like offered me, because I was living with someone else at the time, so they had offered me the ability to work like through the night, and then she worked through the day, so I could just like binge eat all day, because there was no one that was in the house, So you go and you get the pizzas, or if it was a late night where she was out or she was sleeping, you get the DiGiorno's, and you go to CVS or Dwayne Reed, just get all the big family size, like I said, bags of candy and shit, and like I just consumed incredible amounts of food, and there's nothing that was stopping it, like a relentless piece. And then when I got to LA, I lived out here with my homie, and like full transparency, like I probably said this to the therapist, maybe a handful of people, but like I was in a scenario where you know, he would always be like, hey, can you like try to request off weekends, you know, so we could have like the same days off so we can go do shit, you know? And I'd be like, well, it's kind of tough. But the reason why I would say it was tough is because I needed a day during the week where I was alone in the house, just plan food, like to take out that emotion, like whatever that was. That's how I cope with it. You know, you go to the supermarket, spend $50, you get a loaf of bread this big and make a hero. You know, you get a pound of meat, pound of cheese, whatever you know, big bag of chips, like just eating like a nut, and you know, and then you make the realization that you know, start leading to some health problems.
Right.
And I didn't necessarily know. I just felt it.
And what did that? So okay, so where did you ever go to the doctor and find out, okay, this is my bill of health, or you were just going based off of, okay, I feel like shit, I probably have X, Y, and Z, you know, maybe it's time to nip this in the bud?
Yeah, so in May of last year, and I'll never forget it, because I ran into a scenario where like I just kept getting sick. Like I was literally calling out of work like a nut, and I was in a scenario where like a common cold would just like knock me out, and I was laying in bed, and I was in a scenario, and at the time I was probably about 440. I hadn't weighed myself in God knows how long, you know what I mean?
Right.
450, whatever. And I didn't know, but like I said, like you said, I felt it, you know, and I'll never forget it because there was this day where like I knew, because I was so ill, like so sick, like with my stomach and just like colds, all that stuff. The immune system was just so shot. But I'll never forget, I just laid there and I knew I had to make a change. And I like, you know, kind of just, I don't know if I prayed to the universe, to God, whoever it was. I was just like, you know, I got to do something. I said it aloud. I got to change my life. And, you know, for me, that like went to the most obvious things, like quit your job, move somewhere else. Like you're just talking about every single step that you could take that's like the most drastic. And you know, I was in a scenario where like I said, I didn't know really where to start, but I had like a really good relationship. I was a manager at the time at Apple, and I had a senior leader that I had a really good relationship with, and she was like, well, why don't we see what we can do? Why don't we try to accommodate you in some way to be able to, like I said, just see if there's maybe like a step down position, something like that. And I didn't actually end up stepping down from the position, but the crazy thing, can I keep running?
Of course, man. Yeah, please.
When I'm in it, I'm going. So
I'm locked
baby.
in.
The crazy thing was that I ran into a scenario where literally 2 days after I had like laid there and like I said, I prayed to the universe, God, whatever it is. Enzo hits me up and he's like, yo, I'm coming out to LA. And I was like, oh, what are you coming out to LA for? Like in my mind, I'm like, oh God, last person I want to see. Because he's the only one that would ever like really go in on me for it. But I'm the worst mental and physical space I'd ever been in, right? And I'm laying there and I'm hearing him say it. And I'm like, oh God. And he's saying, yeah, you know what? I met this girl. She's a trainer at a gym in New York, and they're opening up a facility in LA. They're having a big party, and they're flying us out. She asked me if I want to go, and I was like, well, this is the most unbelievable thing. So why not? Like, why not take that opportunity? In my mind, I'm saying to myself, oh shit, I gotta see him, you know?
Yeah.
But long story short, he literally flies in. He goes to that party, and he runs into a scenario where, like through the party, he like meets the owner of this gym, right? This dude Kirk, right? And he literally meets this guy. He calls me like immediately. He's like, yo, whatever you're doing tomorrow, cancel whatever you're doing. If you're supposed to go to work, don't go to work. Whatever you had planned, do not do it.
Yo, I hear him in my head telling me.
Yeah, he just says like, I don't care what you're doing. He's like yelling at me. I'm like, dude. And he's like, you gotta come meet the guy who owns this gym. I set it up. Just listen to me. He's like, fuck you, listen to me, do it. Like in my mind, I'm saying to myself, like, what the hell does this guy want to meet you for? But then I'm saying to myself, yo, you just asked the universe for help, and all of a sudden the guy who owns the gym wants to meet you. And I don't even know who this guy is. I don't know anything about what is going on. What am I going to do? I never went to the gym in my life. If I ever ran my mouth, I was walking around with all these, you know, the meatheads help me. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was always jacked. I just was the guy making pizza. You know what I mean? Frying chicken. I didn't know. So, and I'm getting to the reason why I went to the doctor. So what ends up happening is that basically, I go into this facility, right? I go into this dog pound facility, this palace that Kirk built over here in West Hollywood, this unbelievable facility he built, whatever. And I get a chance to meet him, and we talk for a little bit. And he was actually, he had congestive heart failure at like 21 years old. So he was about 300, and he's not a tall guy, so he didn't wear too well, but he basically ran.
He had CHF in his late 20s?
That's what I'm saying. Early 20s.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
What'd he do?
What do you mean? What did he do? Like,
I
He
how
didn't
did,
move.
I'm just like CHF, like that's genetics
that's
most
what
of
I'm
the
saying.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah, that sucks.
Well, he was 300 plus also.
yeah, 300 plus.
Oh,
And
okay.
like probably 5'4", 5. He's a short guy. So
Okay.
yeah, he's not a big guy. But long story, I mean, he's got an incredible story. But long story short, we connect, and obviously he understood where I was at. I'll never forget because he was already in the middle of a training session. He like paused it for a second, and he tells me, he's like, "Get on the ground." And I'm like, "Get on the ground? What the hell am I doing?" Like, you know, I mean, mind you, I'm in this gym that's like, you know, there's Victoria's Secret angels in the back. I'm 400 pounds, the guts hanging out. I barely even have any. I don't have any gym clothes. I just put on whatever I thought was gym clothes. You know what I'm saying? I'm an idiot. I don't know what's happening. And he tells me to get on the ground, and he has me start doing some like bird dog, you know, like kind of stretching my arm out, just to see if my mobility, you know what I mean? And after we connected, you know, it was an incredible gesture. But he says, you know, I want to offer you 25 free sessions. And I was like, yo, that's like the kindest thing anybody ever did for me, you know? And I'm saying to myself, you know, like, you're not going to go. And half of my brain's like, there's no fucking way you're going. Then the other half goes back to that moment. It's like, you just asked for help. How are you not gonna fulfill it? You know? So I show up to one, you know, I actually had a chance to work out. So, you know, Yeti, the guy who won Tough Enough, did you watch?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah, Yeti was the first trainer I worked with, and he was a WWE wrestler. So we had like an immediate connection, you know, and he was a fat boy at one time too. Not
Yeah,
huge.
that's what I heard. Yeah.
He was a fat boy. I can show you some whatever. He loves when I call him that, you know. And long story short, you know, they started to see me go for the sessions, you know, and I kind of committed. And what was crazy is that I had already kind of had a conversation about shifting some things up at work at Apple, and they were like, well, what do you need? Everything about them was about what do you need, you know. And
That's awesome.
They're so pro people, you know.
Yeah.
So just to continue the story, long story short, what ends up happening is that when they see that I was committed, they're like, yo, when was the last time you went to the doctor? And I was like, come on, dude. You think I went to the doctor in the last 10, 12 years? I'm scared to go to the doctor. I know nobody's going to tell me. You're ticking time.
He's gonna tell me I'm fat. I'm gonna say I'm gonna say I drink my water. I work out. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I just lie, you know. No, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. It's a dozen donuts.
Like when you tell a dentist that you floss twice a day. No, we don't.
Right.
No, we don't.
I mean, that's one of the worst things. When you have that sugar addiction, you know, you can't repair the teeth. A lot of things can be repaired. It's the teeth you have to invest all these thousands of dollars into. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get into that another point. But long story short, I go to the doctor, right? And I'm like, yo, just run the gauntlet. I'm scared shitless. Run the gauntlet, whatever you got. So obviously they tell me I was pre-diabetic, thank God. And I had no idea. I thought I was already in it because I had like a tingle in my thigh. I was having little, you know, I had this thing. I started picking it up. You're like, yo, you're screwed. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
But pre-diabetic, obviously, like, you know, morbidly obese. They throw all these terms out. And then he tells me he told me I had a liver problem, right? But not from booze. I never drank.
You got a fatty liver.
Fatty liver, you know what I mean?
Yep.
You know, tells me I got to go get an ultrasound on it. So I go and, you know, I'm making these appointments, and, you know, I kind of was, you know, going through that process saying to myself, like, holy shit, you know what I mean? Like you just beat out a lot of problems. Like you were blessed in that way. One half of my family, you know, my dad's side, they're very lucky. My grandmother's 90, she's still running around like a nut. Still, if AC was safe, she'd still be going back and forth. She would go once a week, drive herself down there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's got good health, and that side gave me good health, and they protected me in this situation, you know. And long story short, I was in a scenario where it mentally got to me, you know, because I realized, like, I did this to myself.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I was the one that continued every day to do this. Now, it might have been outside factors and things that, you know, you always blamed it on that even made you even eat even more, you know.
Uh-huh.
And no, it was a scenario for me where, you know, I kind of ran into where the mental health hit a wall, you know.
Right.
And the insane part is that I broke down. I went into Apple the next day after I'd gotten those results back that, you know, I had to obviously make a lot of change. And they supported me, brother, in ways that you couldn't even imagine. I sat down with my store leader at the time, a woman, Talene, that was at the Grove, and she was like, well, you know, Apple has resources to help you in this environment. I was like, well, I know that. I've been with the company long enough, but like, I would never want to like take advantage of anything. You know, she's like, no, this is literally what it's here for, right? So she gave me the number so I could begin a conversation to talk to people about, you know, going to like a therapy session. But the reality is that Apple, as crazy as this sounds, and what they offered to me is they actually offered me a scenario where they would give me like a year off. If I wanted a year off, they would,
Wow.
right? They would pay me.
Holy shit.
Take care of my health. Like when they found out I had a liver problem, they're like, well, what do you need? All I kept saying is, what do you need? Right?
Wow.
Imagine I was in a scenario where I was like, a year is like a lot of time. I don't think that I would need a year, but maybe 6 months, maybe I'll take 6 months to really like address some of the things that I'm going through. And, the help that I had asked for, right, was now imagine you had Apple, who gives you the best resources possible for your mental health, right? They sourced out an incredible therapist right here on San Vicente, Dr. Howard Cohen, just one of the best people I ever met in my life. And then you have Dog Pound, who's like adopting you, right? In a scenario where like, we're going to help you take care of your physical health. So all I had to do was focus on nutrition.
Right.
Right. I was in a scenario where the universe just couldn't have blessed you. It could not have blessed you. And I know to this day that no one will probably ever have a story that could even like remotely resemble it, right? Unless you had bread, or maybe there's just companies out there that want to do the same thing. But I was in a scenario. Yeah.
I love that for two different things that hits me hard with just so far into your story. Number one, the power of like pain. Like everyone fears pain, and it's like it's this like we all make change for one of two reasons. We want more pleasure, we want to feel better, or we don't want to feel so shitty. Like that's it. Like we make our decisions for those two reasons. And this is where I get really caught up in a lot of people that kind of float. It's so easy. But like when you go to the doctor and you get that like painful, that headspace, like you're in some shit. Like you can run away from it for as long as you want. But when you head on, it sucks. Like it's so powerful. Like whatever that way to create pain, I love it. Where it's staying in front of the mirror naked, or whatever your way of creating that pain is so huge. Number two, I just love the fact that asking it is given. Like the brain and how that works. You ask for something, crazy how it starts to just show up.
I can tell you and attest to, like, I refer to, if you look at my IG, I mean, I don't post a ton because I think I'm more like marveling at the idea that all this, I still sit here in disbelief. Like I still don't even believe what the hell.
So do I. I feel you, bro. Every day. Yeah.
I mean, it's like an odd thing. I mean, because it's like, imagine the universe aligns to start. You just ask. You align with what you wanted. You said it aloud, and then all of a sudden it begins to happen. And you say to yourself, like, I remember sitting there one day, like one of the first days that I realized that, like, I had gone to a Dog Pound session, and I was being supported by potentially one of the greatest companies in the world, right? Who's truly there for their people. Although they're worth more than anybody in the world, maybe that's why. Whatever.
Right.
But the insane part is that I'm sitting there and I'm saying to myself, like, how is this even real? Like, how is it even real? And then the crazy part is that I committed in that moment. I said to myself, for me, I never want to let anybody down. That was one of like my biggest downfalls, but it ultimately led me to one of my biggest successes, because the reality is that someone has to invest their time and money to allow me to train at this facility.
Right.
And then Apple is investing the energy, right, to hold my position, thinking, you know what I'm saying, that I'm going to come back eventually when I get through whatever health issues that I'm facing, right? But people have to work harder. So me, it was like, on top of all those gifts, right, there was a scenario where it was the perfect way for me to motivate around how I would get to a scenario where I would lose all that weight. Like, that's how it happened. Like, and for me, as I learn more stories about people, I think that sometimes that's what happens for them too. It's just a perfect scenario.
Right.
Some people are waiting for those when ultimately you have to create it.
Oh yeah, always.
But it's like when it comes and it happens, then all along through the commitment of losing the weight, right? Because it was a scenario where it was just so many blessings that it was like, all right, yeah, I'm gonna push it as hard as I possibly can. Why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I do it?
Right. So I love, and again, that fits so well within what John and I believe so much in, which is, number one, there's no such thing as a one size fits all.
Right.
Like there isn't. Like who can just say, well, if you just work for Apple and you happen to be friends with this guy who connects me with this guy who does this, then
I got it. Yeah.
Right.
But that's the point. Like that's what's so, but there probably is someone close to your situation that goes, holy shit, why am I taking advantage of this?
Right.
Yeah. And that's, I think, the the insane part is, like kind of what you brought up is when you just, you kind of hone in on it and focus on it and really like set your mind on something that you want. Then all of a sudden, if you just don't allow the world to like interfere with that and just let it be, we're in a scenario where the universe is at the wheel, right? Don't pump the brakes, don't step on the gas, nothing. Just ride that wave. Because what happens is it just begins to create like a snowball of just one
momentum,
one miracle.
Well, it all comes down to something that we said before, is basically, you ask the universe threw it back, but it's more of you projecting to the universe exactly what you wanted, manifesting the things that you wanted. You couldn't ask for a better scenario than, your job offering you all this help, right? And I'll also, I have a sidebar that I want to ask.
Yeah.
You said that they offered you the mental aid. They held your position. Did they ever once ask you if you wanted to get weight loss surgery, or that they would pay for weight loss surgery?
So they didn't. That conversation never came up. I think because I was like kind of against it.
Right. Of course. No. Whatever.
Something because I would want to at least try. Like because I never really I could like lose 40 pounds. I could lose 50 pounds. Right.
Right.
Blow it up so the 40 turns into 80, and then that 50 turns into 100. Right, where it doubles up. But I was in a scenario where that conversation never really like came up, and I think it's more because it's such a touchy conversation unless I bring it up.
Right. Of course.
To bring it up, right? Because it's such a. It would be such a difficult thing for them to like have accountability on like that. I said, I offered it to him. Like, so I'm initiating the idea.
No, I only asked that because I actually hear more and more major corporations like Apple turning around to their employees and saying, hey, if weight is something that you're dealing with and it's causing such a mental burden on you, we'll take care of the bills. We'll foot the bill for the weight loss surgery. So I was just curious if they ever brought that, up to you or anything like that.
Just full transparency. I mean, the doctor, that I went to, that was like obviously the first conversation.
Of course, yeah.
They led to, and it was a situation where, like, my sister had like, what I'm saying, people I know close to me had all like, had gone through that process, and I think for me, when I knew that it was so strongly rooted to a mental health issue,
yes,
as opposed to it being like something my body just was not able to process, like whatever those health issues are, where it's like a thyroid issues, like there's certain things people have like slow metabolism, all that stuff. But for me, like I said, it was just so linked to mental health that I truly needed to just like pause my life, stop it, and say, you know what, like in order for you to be strong for the people that you want to be strong for, you have to invest it in you right now. Like,
and it's amazing that the universe put out its hand like that, and was like, hold on, Rich, we got it. We're gonna pause it. Don't worry. You can't ask for anything more. Like, that is like a perfect storm scenario.
You can't. I mean, it's little things. I mean, it's like, and then right at Christmas time, like, I'm going to treat myself. I had gotten to like around the 300 mark, and the weight limit on a bike is 300. You know what I mean? And then a homie who was with me, and I was hiking, running a lot because I was obviously going through personal training, and then I started hiking as I got like under 4. I started to hike a lot, and then when I got got close to that 300-pound mark, it was the bike, and then I started to do like a really strict like keto program.
Okay.
Through Keto Savage, Gormy knew who he was.
Yes, I know Keto Savage. Yeah.
He came up with this project with that same diet plan. So that was like the crazy part. Losing the first 100 was like, just stick to chicken and rice, just stick to, what I'm saying, not eating sugar, doing all those things. And then it's like, all right, well, it's going to get a little bit more challenging now, so you might have to shift it out. And between that bike and like I said, just like I said, that keto program that I was on, it was a lot of magic, and all that stuff was just, like I said, it was just timed. Everything was just so perfect.
See, that's what a lot of people don't realize is all what it is time. It's time and progression, and those two things go so hand in hand.
Yeah, and you got to change it up, and you got to know, what I mean? You got to just know what's going on.
It's interesting too, because like there's something with, and not everyone's done it this way. So again, not everyone has to do it this way. However, there is something powerful in like immersion, the way you did it, where it's like, I got to stop working. I got to freeze my entire life and just say, I'm losing 200 pounds.
Yeah.
And it's like, some people need to do that. Like not everyone, but some people need to do it. And I'm intrigued. in your last, so what's the timeline? So you've lost little over 200 pounds in how long?
So full transparency, I lost it in 10 months, and then
Okay.
I let off the gas a little bit, but more for me to understand what it is I can and can't eat.
Okay. Yeah. No,
I had
100%.
completely reset nutrition, you know.
Yeah,
So
but I love that
oh yeah,
you knew what you were doing was not sustainable,
Right.
and then you go, all right, I'm gonna start swimming through this to figure some sustainability into it.
Yeah.
yeah, that's it. That's exactly what it came down to, you know, is to understand what it is that I can and can't do.
So while we're on that subject, actually, why don't we kind of, mosey our way into what is your lifestyle, Rich? So obviously we all know the sugar-free Rich. Obviously that was kind of like a nod to kicking out the Swedish fish, or what was that?
Yeah. So what's interesting is, I kind of knew that I was like highly addicted to sugar.
To sugar.
Right?
Yeah.
There's no doubt, and as I kind of made my way through, really the last year and a half, in about February, I think it was, and I had kind of like made my way out of going to therapy in January, because I felt like, you know what, like I've overcome this. I know that I can get through this, and I would just want to see what would it be like on my own to navigate through without having
Huge.
the support
I love that.
that mental health support, and I also, at that point, I'll be transparent with you, is I did step away from Apple. So I was in a scenario where they had obviously offered me the world, and they did more for me than you can ever imagine. But the reality is that something kept telling me, because I was at like 120-pound loss by January. I had said to myself in my mind, I'm like, all right, well, if you're going to go back, what happens? Like, what would happen if you went back? But something kept literally whispering in my ear, like, just keep pumping those legs. Like,
Right.
think about it. Don't worry about anything. Like, you saved up a bunch of money. You're not blowing it all on food no more. Like, just stay on the course. Maybe you go back to them once you get closer to that goal, but you need to continue to lose the weight.
Mm-hmm.
Not knowing that I needed to, because then the world went upside down in March. I
Right.
knew that was going to go down. But
Right.
long story short, I had my farewell. I had said goodbye to them, and I was in a scenario where I was able to, I made a couple bucks doing whatchamacallit, because I was still on that course of, like I said, I would train every day. I would ride my bike to the facility. I would, go through a workout, ride my bike back. Then I would go do I would hike Runyon, and my lifestyle literally was just built around still taking care of myself, and make a couple bucks PAing jobs, or, you find odd jobs, just hustle, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
of
course.
But long story short, I kind of found myself about 3 months ago, and it probably could have started 6 months ago, but I was so focused on just getting to a point. But I actually started to do like a meal prep company. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so you see, I got bags of rice behind me. You can see the cans of stuff all over here. But long story short, yeah, I kind of knew all along, and I think that's the crazy part, is that I grew up in food, and I've always loved it. You know what I'm saying? But I kind of ran into a scenario where, I was in this situation where, it was kind of like, and I'll be transparent how it started, is that some of the dog pound trainers because when New York closed, they all flew out to LA, and they were living out of a hotel. They were in a scenario where I was in a virtual session with them, and they were like, yo, where do you eat in LA? It's like so expensive to be able to get food. Like, where are you going out? And I'm like, bro, well, you know me. I don't eat out of restaurants anymore. I'm cooking every meal. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, I just cooked every meal along the way. And I ran into a situation where I was like, yo, I mean, if you want to live within this realm, which is basically just like what you get from any meal prep, is a protein, vegetable, and rice, or protein, vegetable, sweet potato, like, I'll cook for you if you want that. So basically, I made them meals. They like put it on their IG, and then all of a sudden you like start getting clients. So you start getting 1, or 2, or 3, and then then all of a sudden they tell their friends, and then they tell their friends. It's like,
Yeah.
What the hell is going on? So I mean, it's like, it's a scenario where I kind of knew it, where all along I said, if the universe gave me so much, that at some point I would have to find a way to give it back. It would have to be health related, So for me, it was always a scenario where, especially like, growing up in Jersey, living in New York, but really in LA, you can kind of like see it because it's so spread out. The maps are like so square. But long story short, it's like, you can totally see where, some of those neighborhoods are that just don't have access to healthy food. You know what I mean? It was a scenario where, for me, like, I'm trying to get into those communities. So I just offer like like I said, a protein. So like every day I cook chicken, salmon, steak, and then, kind of give you those same sides, or it's, broccoli, sweet potatoes,
That's awesome.
spinach.
You shipping to New York, baby?
Oh, listen, I'm working on it. When I went back, I cooked. I was trying to actually link to you to get you a meal.
Yo, bro, you let me know when you start shipping to New York.
Yeah,
because
no,
I'm getting on those sugar-free rich meals.
And that's a process I'd like to begin. But long story short, it's a $10 meal flat rate. And what I would really love to do is, like I said, just kind of get this, like I said, into communities that just don't have access to healthy food, right? And I grew up in food. That was something that, I was blessed enough to, know my way around the kitchen. And, like I said, having really like the last year and a half to be like on my own, then obviously you kind of like perfect what works, and obviously like, for me, it was all about consistency. So I had to live within the same realm, whether that was a ketogenic diet or paleo, or like even like a short stint of like doing like a vegetarian thing for a couple of weeks, like whatever it was that I was doing, I knew I had to be consistent, right? Because that's just reality. And, you can have those days where, you enjoy or you incorporate food that, like I said, you haven't had in a while. But the reality is that there's so many like accessible foods that allow you to feel like you're eating the things that you probably shouldn't have anymore, like,
right. Yeah.
And as long as you can get to that place and just, kind of like just celebrate with those things, right? Like piece of cake, my grandmother turned 90, I'm gonna have a piece of cake, right? But I can't like be at the supermarket and see it's a 99-cent piece of cake at the front and be like, I'm just gonna take this one home. You know what I mean?
No, of course.
You only buy one? I'd buy like 4.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You just run with it. From the same bowl. You buy the half cake. You can even buy the full stuff. You get the half.
Oh, see, cake and stuff was my go-to. At 400-pound David, it was sweets. It was everything, but cake, ice cream. The go-to was Reese's peanut butter cups. I would eat a Costco-sized bag almost every single day.
Like of the miniatures?
No, the full cups.
The full cups.
Yeah, I'd eat a 24 count of Costco bag almost every day.
Oh my God. That's the best, man. Like I said, I'll be honest, I only turned to these things not that long. I didn't love chocolate and peanut butter together. I didn't even like peanut butter and jelly together. I would really get bread and peanut butter. Yeah, I was a weird guy. I don't know. It was something, because I'll be honest with you, I didn't eat fruit until like 3 months ago. I never had
until like 3 months ago. I fucking love you.
And then what happened is that I didn't eat it through any. I know. I never even ate a salad. I never did any of that. It wasn't for me. I'm not a.
No, I feel you, bro.
Cook for me to enjoy it. Like if I was gonna eat fruit, it would have to be a pie. You know what I mean? I wasn't gonna sit there and pick an apple off the tree and eat it.
Oh no, 1,000%. Like I wasn't a candy guy ever. I had no sweet tooth my whole entire life.
What were you slamming?
I was slamming food, baby. I was slamming pizza. I was slamming buffalo wings. I was slamming Taco Bell. I was slamming.
How many meals do you eat at a time? How many pies could you put down?
Oh, at my best, probably like 2 pies, a dozen wings, and a half a dozen garlic knots.
Really?
Yeah. Bro, I was spending $38 at Taco Bell for myself.
Oh yeah, come on.
Yeah, that's light work,
Yeah, that was light work, bro. That's all I'm saying. I was so highly addicted. There's nothing more than a drive-thru. What gets you going more than thinking about going to a drive-thru?
Right, exactly.
All the time.
And you don't have to get out the car. You don't have to see nobody.
Right. The menu is all colorful, and you're just thinking about all the new things. They got new items, even though it's the same ingredients. They're
new items thrown together different. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're just changing up the same ingredient over and over.
Quesarito, come on, man.
Yeah. That's what I mean. You're gonna just take a burrito and somehow get cheese intertwined into another tortilla.
Exactly. Bro, and I just heard they just deleted like all the potato options from Taco Bell. They took off like 10 things off the Taco Bell menu. The Mexican pizza is gone. Mexican pizza gone.
Wait. That was one of the best things on the menu.
That's what I'm saying. Gone. Mexican pizza.
Get that out of there. What were they selling cheese fries for? I never understood it.
Yeah, I know.
Like in the phase really to go there to get cheese fries ever. I would just, I would go there to say, because you get cheese fries, just go to Wendy's.
Yeah, fact.
You put the fries in the frosty at Wendy's. I could go on all day about fast food.
So could I. It's really disgusting.
Question for you. So you lost 200 pounds in 10 months in your just like unrelenting grind. Yeah. Walk me through it, because something like that, like that's just straight. The term is looked down upon, but obsession. That's what that is.
No, it's called bonkers.
Well, yeah. I'm an addict. By nature, I'm an addict. Like, I already know this. Didn't matter what it was. Thank God it never was booze or, like, hard drugs or anything, but I have a very addictive personality, And the crazy thing is that, like, I think it's learning to cope with what it is. So I just to a scenario where I was so far on one side of the scale, addicted to things that were killing me.
Right.
I needed to flip it all the way over and live in a scenario where now I have to addict to the things that are going to help save my life.
Yep.
And then hopefully find yourself in the middle, which is kind of where I'm at right now.
100%. So what was a day-to-day in that 10 months? What did a day-to-day look like when it came to working? Obviously, you got the working out. You said you biked to the gym. You then worked out. You biked home. You went on hikes. What was the general nutrition plan of a day?
Really,
Excuse me.
I was like pretty lax for that first 100. Like I said, I just cut out wheat, cut out sugar. And I was really, like I said, I was just consistently consuming like, I would get ground turkey and I would eat eggs and I would eat, you know what I mean? I was just very like consistent. The cheats that I would have, I can eat like plantains.
I love plantains.
Chip. Yeah, this is like the greatest thing on the earth is a plantain chip. So
Fact.
I would slam those. I could eat hummus. Like, you know, I would live in Trader Joe's. The nice part about Trader Joe's, you go in there and in the beginning, none of the labels are recognizable. So there's no triggers. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Everything is just a clean. So it's like a safe zone. I would go in there,
Right.
go safe. You go into like any other supermarket, you know, and there's all the bright colors. You can't handle it.
Stay. Don't go in the middle aisles. Just stay to the outside. Just stay to the outside.
Greatest tip anybody ever gave me. You know what I mean? And it was one of those things where, you know, I kind of, like I said, in January, I got a hold of that program and I said to myself, you know what, like, I'm going to go all in on this thing. So that, like, Keto Savage program is very restrictive on carbs. So it was less than 10 carbs a day. I was even down to a point where I was eating less than 5.
Right.
So from January, it got so restricted that I was in a scenario where I would OMAD and I would live in that like very limited keto program. So
And for people who don't know what OMAD is, it's 1 meal a day.
yeah, I was doing 1 meal a day and I would eat within like a 1 or 2 hour window. So anywhere between like 12 and 2, 12 and 1. I would eat roughly about like 2,100, 2,200 calories. And like I said, I was weighing the food out. I was in there and I was actually, like I said, just filling the macros, right? Like,
but that's so unhealthy. And I think you need to eat 5 meals a day. And if you don't do that, your protein absorption rates, it just doesn't work.
it's like literally the most hilarious. That's probably like the funniest thing to me in the entire world. Is like, obviously knowing that, yes, every body is different.
Mm-hmm.
Every single body is different. It doesn't matter. Like if you're going to go hard, because I was going like a nut. Like I said, I mean, toward the end, it was like I was doing a triathlon. Because like I was telling you, I was riding a bike. I would do a workout. Then I would come back and I would hike. And then I got to a point where my body started like really getting sore. You know what I mean? Like I was getting, and then I had said to the universe, I was like, you know what, I'm going to ride the bike to the beach. So I rode the bike to the beach and I got in the ocean and I never felt better like getting into a body of water, right? And then I was like, oh, I need to somehow get this to happen more often, but I don't have access to a pool. Little did I know, bam, my homie gives me a key fob to his apartment building that's down the street.
Nice.
Got the pool, started doing 100 laps a day. I would get in there and I would just start swimming for recovery. You know what I mean? It was like the greatest thing ever. So yeah, like I said, it was just like, you know, anytime you needed something, there was going to be a roadblock, right? All of a sudden, like I said, the world tries to put something in front of you, the universe just threw it out of the way. I just had to keep pumping my legs.
But that was just the positive thinking. That's the power of positive thinking.
I believe so. I mean, I'm in a scenario.
No, I'm telling you so. I mean, I am telling you so. That's what it is. The power of positive thinking.
I'm living and learning right now, to be honest.
Right. See, and we can go science. I'll go science. I love. So I was a biomed major in college. My dad's a heart doctor. And so
really?
So science is huge to me. Like I try to find that balance between theory and bro science and like what does the data actually show.
Right.
And like people that you hear the word the universe and stuff like this and God. Okay. So that's one analogy of what we're talking about. If you want to hear from a different, say you're not a very spiritual person, it's called the reticular activating system. It's called RAS. So it's the brain, whatever you ask of it, it doesn't know. It doesn't, this is what people don't understand. Your brain is not your friend. It just does what you tell it to do. It's a Mac computer. It doesn't know anything else. You ask why you suck and why you're fat, it's just going to give you an answer. Yep. If you ask yourself, how can I overcome this challenge? It's going to go, ooh, my buddy's got a key fob he's going to give me to the pool. Hey, I'm trying to figure this out. Ooh, I'm going to connect to this guy who's going to bring you this. And that's what people don't understand is your brain just will help create the answer you ask of it. So you got to be more conscious of those questions, because whether you believe in the spiritual side or not, the science side is like, it's 2 + 2 here. Like it's whatever you ask of your brain, it's just going to help guide you and find.
You got to have a little help.
100%.
Oh yeah.
You got to have a little help.
Oh
no
yeah.
matter what happens, there's got to somehow be a little help. And
Always.
Always, right? Isn't that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, just to recharge it. You know,
my help came from I'll never forget it. It's funny because like my help came from a place that I never thought would be possible. I was my junior year of college. I decided that med school wasn't for me, and I got into a network marketing company.
Get out.
Yeah, and the group of people, Luke, Jamie, these guys, they're still my best friends to this day. They got me hooked on personal growth, reading books like The Compound Effect, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Think and Grow Rich, and that just they're pushing me to become my best self was the catalyst I needed to stop acting like a little baby and take accountability for your life.
Yeah,
and it's whether it comes from a person or help is definitely needed.
Without a doubt. I mean, I have such a similar story almost to you, Rich. I mean, I tell my story almost identical. Like I when I almost died in my house in front of my family, like I prayed to God, I prayed to the universe, I prayed to whoever the fuck was listening, you know, give me this second chance, give me another opportunity. And, you know, I woke up an hour and a half later and I knew that I had no other, you know, choice but to follow through with that.
Yeah.
I put myself around, you know, more positive thinking people after that point. My best friends in life literally refused to hang out with me unless I went to the gym or, you know, unless I ate right. You know, they would physically just not answer my phone calls. You know what I'm saying? So they just didn't give me the opportunity to fail. They wouldn't eat with me anymore. You know, just like you said earlier, you know, your role as the friend was to say, okay, well, where are we going to eat? What are we going to eat? That was me. You know, I knew every spot in New York. I knew where to go get Chinese food at 4 o'clock in the morning. I knew where to go get gyros at 2 o'clock in the morning. That was my role. But if my friends weren't answering my phone calls, I wouldn't go by myself. That was the thing. I was at my most miserable when I was by myself. I wouldn't eat alone. Yep. That's still one of my biggest phobias. I hate eating alone. Like if you know, if me and my girl are going to go to eat and she turns around and goes, oh, you know, I ate like 45 minutes ago, an hour ago. I don't really think I'm going to eat. Well, fuck that. You just ruined my whole experience. Like I'm not even eating now. Like I don't even want to talk to you anymore. Like it puts me in a bad spot. But that's just my own mental fucked upness that, you know.
I think that the beauty though is that you know you better than like.
Oh, of course.
You have to, right? Like I think that sometimes we are forced to invest ourselves so much in the lives of those around us, you know, and like in that part of the world, you know, like your family's so tight knit, you know, you know, half Italian, so like, you know, everybody knows everything about each other, you know what I mean? You're constantly just thinking about everybody else, but the reality is that sometimes you need to take a moment and, you know, if you think about 33 years about really investing yourself into other people, right? Because I started this when I was 32, 33 years old, you know, I think taking a year, right, out of your life to just focus on you in the grand scheme of things, right, to give you another 33 or more, right? Like instead of just kind of short, I think there's so much value in it, you know, and I think it's hard because, you know, there's a lot of really, really, really crazy things that are going on right now. But the insane part is that, you know, I kind of like got a head start, right? The way that I look at it, that like I took the time for me when now we kind of all are in this realm where the only thing that we really should be thinking about is ourselves. Right?
Is ourselves, yeah, absolutely.
That's it. Like they almost like forced us in that because a lot of us were.
Dude, you got double time. Like I'm actually kind of jealous. You stopped your own world, and then the world stopped for you.
And then not only that, I mean, the most insane thing is when I was getting close to that, because by like April 1st is when I had gotten close to being able to know that I could hit that 200 pound loss, you know, the streets were empty. I got to ride that bike on streets that I would never even, LA, it's like tough. It's all cars, you know what I'm saying? So I was always nervous about riding around on certain streets. It was like the universe just cleared the streets and I got to ride the most, it was like unbelievable. But that's the thing. It's like, you got to find what it is that makes you happy.
Oh yeah, dude. You know, it's funny. I've been following you and it's always just like, yo, it's Rich's time. All the time when I watch, I'm just like, yo, another awesome thing is happening for Rich. And it's just,
it's like, but and then it continues. So I think that's that's the crazy part that I would always let someone know, is that my story is never going to be the same as you, but I wouldn't want it to be.
No, yeah, of course.
No one's story should be the same, right? Like
No.
everybody should have long, dramatic novels, right? Not short stories, beginning, middle, end. No, you want to be able to have the ebb and flow. You want to have a scenario where, like I said, there are ups and downs. There are moments of success. There are moments of failure. There are moments that allow you to be able to know what you're truly made of. And I think that's the thing that people, they constantly lose sight of, is that they just see everybody's highlight reel.
100%. The Instagram.
And that's the problem with social media, but that's a story for another day.
I have a question for you, Rich. How is that transition from that hyper-focused obsession of an unsustainable plan to like, all right, I need to feel some balance? Like how did that transition happen? The good days, the bad days, what was kind of your transition to it?
So I like full transparency. I ran into a scenario where I got a fantasy draft going on. I just got to
Yo, I have one on the side going too, and that's why I've been checking my phone like every nonchalant. My bad, guys.
Just running this mouth. But yeah, so what was interesting is I had like really was pushing myself like a nut, doing all these crazy things, and then I was still on that like keto program, and full transparency, I had done one of those days, and this was like early on in like this whole like shift in the world type thing, and I was like obviously stressing about that a little bit, and I like not realized I didn't eat anything, and I had gotten out of the pool one day when I was doing that like swim after, and I just like collapsed, and I was alone, and I didn't even know what the hell happened. This is full transparency. I only told maybe a couple people, but God forbid my mother were to hear, you know what I mean? So, but long story short, I'd like collapsed, and I was like, I was able to like, eventually get up and all that stuff, but I realized like, you're like pushing yourself to a point where, like, especially if you're not giving your body what it needs, then you're screwed. So you're gonna have to like shift it again,
Mm-hmm.
And you have to kind of find yourself, because you're asking about the shift to get to where I'm at currently, or just overall.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So you're currently where you're at because you went from that unsustainable, you knew it, and now you're like, all right, I'm trying to find that balance in the middle.
It was only designed to be a 90-day program. So I said to myself, you know what, like, just get to that 90. That's all that, that's all you need to really, you really need to do. And it just so happened it fell at that same point where I was just totally out of gas. But I think for me, like I said, I know that, the transition of trying to be able to kick out of things like early on, right, were way more challenging than trying to do it now, because it's like you've lost the weight. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Even if you were to go up, like let's say you creep and you gained 20 pounds, 30 pounds, let's just say, you already know what you can do in order to turn it on again. So if you're going to sit there, for me, I know I can't have corn, right? Just don't have corn. With corn leads to butter, and then butter, you know what I mean? There's all these things that don't work well together, right? Like being conscious to say, you know what, like if you're going to have carbs, just try not to have a shit ton of fat with it, right? Or if you have protein, have it with all the fat you want. Like just be really intelligent about the decisions that you make and all the knowledge that you've been able to gain. Because that's the thing, is like, I think we're so scared to like just figure out what our body needs in order to be able to be and feel.
Well, because we don't want to be individuals. People all day long, people want to be individuals. They want to be represented as their own self. But when it comes to the diet cult, like, okay, I hate that word. But when it comes to like living a lifestyle, nobody wants to be an individual. All of a sudden, they want to do what everybody wants to do.
I heard that's not. Well, I heard that's not. Well, I heard it's like, well, you just got to find out what works for you. So just in time, take 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, and just eat this way. Just find out what happens. Because like I said, it's consistent. You have to be consistent, because that's the big thing about all this stuff, right?
Because weight loss, they want instant gratification. They don't want individuality.
Of course, but I think that's the amazing part for me, is it's no longer about like the scale or any of the, like, it has nothing to do with that. It's just how I feel, right? Because the crazy thing is that, like, if you really relate it, because if you relate it to whether it's your nutrition, your physical health, or your mental, right? If you chase how you feel after you make a specific decision, right? Because it's like, think about your mental health. When you bottle something in, right, and you just hold it in, it eats away at you, it kills you. But then you finally like let it out, and you're like, huh. But why don't you just let it out right away so you don't go through that pain, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's all about, you're getting all excited because you know there's gonna be cake at the party. You know what I mean?
Right.
So the reality is that you go through, you're all excited because there's cake, and then you're eating the cake and you're thrilled, but then after you're like, oh, why did I do that? It's like, well, why not instead just chase the feeling of how you feel after? Like if you made really good decisions all day, then you can have the cake, and then you're happy that you had the cake. But if you knew you ate pizza, and you know, like there's just all those things. Same thing with a workout. You know, I don't want to show up for the workout. Oh, it sucks. I gotta wake up early. But then you're done. You feel like $1 million. You know,
Right.
You
Of course.
take the world on. It's just chase that afterthought. I haven't even found a way to be able to describe that any easier.
No, I like that. Chase that
I like
afterthought.
that.
I think that's the fucking greatest way to do it.
Because that's the thing. It's like everybody goes through this whole like.
I might even steal that from you tomorrow in the caption. I'm gonna be honest with you. No, I'm kidding.
No, it is because that's for me what it was. Is that like because I've battled the mental so much, but then the relief, like the pressure that just came off, like they pulled out a tooth. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, of course.
just, like pop it out and just like, oh my god.
But listen, let me ask you something. Don't you feel, just from the way that me and you've had this conversation now, don't you feel that weight loss in itself, this journey, has been also a mental kind of journey within itself? Like it helped your mental health as much as it did your physical health?
Oh, I mean, to me, it's a scenario where if they're not in tandem, like if your mental health and physical health are not constantly in communication, like, and you let one, it's never going to work. Like nutrition, right up the middle. Like, nutrition just has to be something you're thinking about at all times.
All times, yeah.
You know, and I'm super passionate about it because it's like something that I'm aware of. You know, and I'm not like don't eat the preservatives. If there's like a word if you can't buy one of the ingredients in the supermarket, don't eat it.
Right. Yeah.
Probably a good way to do it.
Hell yeah.
If ingredients isn't in there, don't even consume it because we don't know what it is. We don't know what it causes, but it's going to lead one day to pills. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly.
I'll eat some more pills. But I get passionate about that side, you know. But long story short, like I said, I think that's the insane part is that like if you have to constantly be working at both, you know.
Right.
And the way that it happens is just to like fail, admit that you failed, right? And you failed by not having the conversation you wanted to have. You failed by not addressing something that was like super important to you, that was just weighing on every decision you made, and it started to make decisions for you, like a decision that you just wanted. And most of the time, it's just letting something out.
So what's your position on failure? Now that you brought up failure, I got to know.
I mean, I look at this point, I'm trying to fail daily.
Thank you.
Like,
Bang.
I want to fail daily. Like,
Thank you.
What happens in the gym, that's the best part, is when
Right.
you're just like, what was that feeling? You know what I
Right.
mean?
Roll the credits, folks. That's all you needed to hear.
That's all, and you don't even believe, half the time you can't even believe you're going to be able to do something, and you do it, then you push yourself in order to not be able to do it.
Right. And then you fail.
Yeah, the worst place to be is I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
I don't
Yeah.
want to be fine.
Yeah,
No.
that's what I'm saying. Is like I got to a point where I played everything so scared for so long that at the end of the day, like I said, it's just a scenario where you kind of have to. Like no matter what, you're going to mortgage. Like if you're going to make a big move, then it may lead to a big failure that takes a little bit more time to rebuild. But at the end of the day, like no matter what the challenge is, anybody can get. If we can get through this time and be able to, like I said, keep ourselves like in the right headspace and still find a way to to take care of our physical health and do the right things, then you can conquer anything. You know what I mean?
If you can make yourself win right now, you're competing on Mount Everest.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's the reality of the whole thing, And I think that to anybody, what I'm saying, that's struggling, because I know there are a lot of people that are, and everybody has their moment, but it's just waking up, like you said, because that moment where you realize you're struggling might feel like a failure.
Right.
The day that you can flip it and turn it around completely, because we're in control of our lives.
Yep.
Still are, believe it or not.
Hell yeah.
It's the greatest feeling ever when you overcome it,
Exactly. Every failure turns into success. You just have to allow it to happen and push yourself for it to happen.
You know it, bro. There's no doubt.
So I have another question for you. For those that don't know, Rich was in Enzo's music video. He portrayed himself as a heavier set version of himself. How was that? What was that like? And actually, besides that, what was the conversation with you and Zoe about you doing that?
So it was really funny because so basically, I don't know if you know that his brother directed and shot that video, right? So like everybody that, because we all lived together, everybody was held a role in the production team, right? So like they're like, yo, do you know anybody at Apple that could fit like a nerdy character? You know what I mean? And I'm like, I don't know if I necessarily want to start asking people if they want to be in music videos, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Odd thing, and it's like a conflict of interest. So they're like, yo, can you find somebody? I'm like, all right, I'll find somebody. And then I kind of thought about it, and I was like, well, why wouldn't I do it?
Right.
And I was like, well, why wouldn't I step in the character? Because you knew it was going to be somebody who lived in his mother's basement or their garage, and they were a major, I'm not going to say the word, but they're a huge wrestling fan, and they're like,
no, say the word. Come on, say the word.
I'm not going to say, come on. Mark, greatest thing ever. I mean,
Yeah.
whatever. You know that you gotta love it. I am deep down. You know.
No, of course.
It is what it is. But it's funny because it was a situation where there was like a funeral scene in it, and then we had gone back to shoot that garage scene, and it was funny because it was like all on the cuff for really the dialogue. Like we kind of knew what it was, but you know, it was a situation where like I had braids, so like pulled the braids out because my hairs were long, and like it was like so greasy and oily, and we like set it up to be staged where I had like Cheeto finger. It was like
Yeah.
it was like what I would dream about doing.
Dude, he looked
around.
like a fat mess. Like, I mean, let's call a spade here. He was a fat mess during the video.
I
Like,
was-
he's in an armchair like this.
Oh
with,
yeah,
like food
Oh.
boxes around him.
we put a little side table there with I had a hot plate.
Yeah.
So I bought a hot plate. One time I didn't pay the gas bill, so they shut it off. You have a period of time where you have to wait until, so you had to go get a hot plate.
Oh
But I
my
was like flipping a grilled cheese. I was like undoing Oreos, you know,
Yeah.
roll, like the one end would roll around. You like chase it. And it was like that might have been B-roll, but that was like, that was literally one of the funniest.
Dude, I love it. Like, I watched the video just for your part. Like, I'm gonna be honest
It's
with
that good. It was like,
Yeah.
you know, it was like, you know, I'm wiping the Cheeto dust on the side of the couch. Like we knew exactly what it was we wanted to do, but like deep down, it's because they knew that I love doing that shit. You know what I mean? You know, the shirt was like cut off, the gut was hanging out.
you. It was so good. It
Fucking
was so
Cheetos.
good.
Oh, it was epic. It was
Yeah.
the most.
But how did you feel during that? Did you feel like, it is what it is? Like, I know this is me, so I know that this is okay.
So it's crazy because at a certain point you just accept.
Of course.
Like, I just accepted who I was, you know.
Right.
And the external knew that you were just the person who made somebody laugh. You would be the guy, like I said, who would, you know, with food. You know, there'd be so many layers of who you believed you were at that time, you know.
Right.
And internally, it's like you're just burying yourself. Like, I not to get too, you know, too emotional. You know what I mean?
Right,
But
of course.
At the end of the day, it's like, you know, you're killing yourself, and it's the slow death. It's not like the quick one. You know what I mean?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
slow. You're
It's a
just
slow, agonizing death. That's exactly what morbid obesity or regular obesity is.
Yeah, but you know, I like had those moments in it where I knew I was like, you know what, maybe no one will see it. You know what I mean? I was like, maybe
No one's going to decide to watch Enzo's music video.
At the time I had a really good relationship with like my market leader at Apple, like the woman who ran all the stores, and like I was like, because she's like, don't do social media, don't do that. I was like, all right, no problem. She like knew who Enzo was and all that, like, and knew that, you know, I'd be like in videos and posts with him once in a while. And it was funny because it was a scenario where it's like, I pulled her aside and I was like, all right, so I gotta be honest with you. We made a music video. I'm just gonna show it to you now. You're the first person to see it, but it's like I'm kind of unrecognizable. I don't think anybody would know who I was, type shit. Because that's all I was concerned about. I didn't even care about having my gut out. I didn't care,
Yeah.
you know, whatever. I drop track. I don't give a damn what happens at that point. I'm so accepting of my body at that point. I
Right.
was just concerned if it like risked my job.
Right.
Because we really laid it all on the line. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, yeah.
it's embarrassing. I didn't realize, and you know, I didn't really even give a damn at the time to think about it. But yeah, that was insane. That was,
Dude, I mean, but your old self stands the test of time now.
oh
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying?
What I was gonna say is, yeah, there's a few that I was in. There's another one where I'm like laying out on a chair in front of the house and I'm having the food delivered. I have to say,
Yes, I've seen that
hey,
one.
saw
Yes.
that one too. It's not as good. Obviously, I don't have any parts to speak, but
Right.
yeah, at the end of the day, it was for me. Like I said, I will always look back at that video and I'll say to myself, like, number one, I'd be like, what were you doing?
Yeah.
What were you thinking? You know,
Yeah.
It was old. It wasn't like it was doing that at 18. It was like, yo, I was like 28, 29.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing? And
Yeah.
then you see yourself where you're like, you know what? You were just doing whatever it was for your brother, like for your family. You know, if
Yeah.
anybody did anything, you would do it. And then, you know, it's kind of like there's a scenario, you know, where I thank God got over the numbness of being embarrassed by my weight. At one point, you almost accept it. You're like,
Of course. Yeah.
Shut off. Where would I do? You know, you're kind of thrilled about it. But that was one of the funniest experiences of all time.
No, yeah. No, I love it. I had to ask. I really did. But so
Yeah.
I mean, we've been chatting away over now for over
crazy.
an hour.
It's crazy. It's been over an hour already.
Yeah, no, I feel like we just started. But before we wrap this up, I do have two really important questions for you that I like to wrap up the podcast with. As soon as you are ready, you let me know and I will fire those away.
Please go.
So you have the opportunity to go back in time and go visit 11-year-old Rich at Chicken Delight. What is a piece of advice that you're giving him? He doesn't know anything about the future. He has no idea what's going to unfold.
Don't fry your potatoes, bake them. No,
That's amazing. That's what I
I
want.
dig that. Don't fry your potatoes, bake them.
Bake them. No, I sorry, I'm just laughing. No, I think don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to speak how you feel. Don't be afraid to, make a decision that seems selfish. Don't be afraid to put yourself in an environment that is, what feels like uncertain to you, or that you're gonna fail, all those things. Like I would just say to just follow the voices in your head and don't let the world kind of interfere with what it is that your mind is telling you to do.
I love that. I
like
love that. And so the last question is, if you could give 3 pieces of advice to someone listening at home, what would those be?
It could be about anything. It doesn't necessarily.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be about weight loss. 3 solid pieces of advice for the people that are listening right now.
This is a great question. These are the ones that you got to text me, like.
No, I want them up the cuff.
Off the cuff.
I would say, again, I think it comes down to, like I said, just follow your heart, follow your mind, right? Like, know that there's, like I said, there's angels out there, and although sometimes it's hard to feel like they're in your life and they're there, you are protected in every way, right? And make that better for you. As always, I would say stay sugar free. That would be the big one. If I said to you. And oh man, this is tough. I rattle off all 3. Yeah, I would say kind of what I was talking about is chase that after feeling.
I like that one. Like I really do.
Like
if you don't post that soon, I'm gonna get really mad at you. Like super mad at you.
What do you mean? What are you gonna get super mad at me?
I'm gonna be super pissed.
I'm disappointed.
I'm here navigating through the world, knowing that, like I said, if that means even one person, let it mean somebody. You can take her. I don't give a damn. But that, to me, that's what it was. That is like, just committing to that, not to harp on it, but it's like everything in life gets easier when you just think about how good it feels after.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I love like how your positivity just radiates off you. Honestly, it is. It's awesome.
I would hope that you love the idea that it's no longer just externally, that it's also internal.
Internally,
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
That's like I think the craziest part, because I've always navigated through it, but inside you're just dead, like, or you want
exactly.
You know what I mean? You want to come to that slam. Just keep slamming that. Keep dominoes. Some of the things are going to be illegal.
Yeah.
I'm serious. I'm telling you right now, this is between me and you. You might see a video come out soon. Like, all the lines at the fast food places are so long now. It's like, it's insanity how long these lines are, right?
Right.
I'm in a scenario where I'm thinking about just cooking a ton of meals, like the healthy meals I make, and going in line and like going up to these cars and being like, don't eat here. Just take this. Just go away. You don't even need to know who I am. Just eat this.
Just run.
What a marketing scheme, dude.
Gorilla. Like, I'm going gorilla. I don't even give a damn. Like,
you need a sugar-free mask, like a lucha mask.
Full mask, like a ski mask with sugar-free, and then I'm handing out meals and just sabotaging everything that's going on. Like,
oh, I love that.
Dude, I've got gorilla ideas for all. Like, I not that I want to put an end to it or a stop to it, because it has to exist. I get it. There's like those things always be there. I just want people to not be drones like I was. Like, I had to give up my car for a year because if I saw the arches or I saw the light, even now I struggle. Like, you drive past one of these Quickie Mart type joints at the gas, they're loaded with things beyond your imagination.
Yo, Bolas are really good. I don't know if you guys have Bola markets out there, but we have them now. Yeah, they're amazing.
Long Island? Where's that?
Yeah, it's like a Wawa, but not a Wawa. They got everything, bro. Everything. It's crazy. I can't go into one.
That's what I'm saying. It's a real problem. I don't know what the hell's going on. They got full-blown delis in there making sandwiches on hot pretzels.
Yeah,
like,
hot pretzels and sandwiches.
What is happening? Like, what did we do to deserve this shit?
What happened to days of just going to the gas station for a Dutch and leaving? I don't understand. I'll never understand.
It used to be that simple. It used to be that simple, But
we didn't always have to eat like assholes.
Well, that too.
That's
all right. All right, Rich. Let the people know where they can find you online.
At Sugar Free Rich.
Awesome.
I got nothing else.
No, that's it. That's all I wanted to know.
Mic drop.
Boom. Rich, I really appreciate you taking time out of your day.
Being on here.
I'm really happy that we did this finally.
You're a goofball, and I love it.
I agree. Sorry, I just go on rants. Like I said,
No, you're great, and
I love it.
I'm gonna hit you up when I'm in LA because we have to get together.
Yeah, we must, bro. And I'll be back over there soon. You know,
I hope so.
Careful Halloween out here, so I don't know what's going on, but maybe I'll come back if they're still doing it back there.
Yeah, bro.
Take a trip. You know what I mean?
Come on through. Hey, listen, I'll be in Atlantic City for Halloween if you're trying to feel froggy.
Really?
Yes, I will.
Look at his eyes. He's like,
I know. I saw that. That's a real one right there. That is a real one. No pun intended. All right, guys. Thank you very much for listening to today's episode of the Accountable Life Group. As always, you can follow us on Instagram at Accountable Life Group. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can ask us anytime you feel like it for a link to the ALG community. We have a weekly call every night at 8:30. And as always, Dave is Dave. I am John. You can catch us online. And until next time, stay sexy, stay beautiful.
Toodles.